Hi friends, we're at up in Potter County on the New York state line, northern Pennsylvania. I'm with special guest, Fay Benson.
Hi, thanks Russ, and thanks for letting me be on your channel a little bit. I've been taking this soil health trailer that's behind me here around the state for about 4 years now. It's amazing to see how much interest there is in soil health. Farmers really appreciate the demonstrations we do, understanding the aggregate stability and the importance of organic matter. This trailer here was purchased through the New York Grazing Land Coalition through a National Conservation Innovation Grant. So it's been a really good tool. It's solar powered to run the pumps. We can take it out into the pasture and farmers really get a first-hand view of soil health.
Yeah. And soil health's not just important to the farmer. I mean, everybody.
That's true.
Yes.
Yeah, I've done this demonstration for water resource councils where they're trying to understand how to keep the harmful algae blooms. And I said, a lot of it has to do with soil health.
Yeah.
Keeping those nutrients in the soil and not letting them run down the stream.
Where they're supposed to be.
Exactly.
That's right.
And carbon, and Pasture has it all.
This is something we could talk about for hours.
Rainfall simulator. I have 5 pans. 3 of these are the same cornfield. They just were managed differently. So this one was left bare, and this one I've lost a lot of my. I had a lot of corn stover on it. I should have put some more on, but hopefully it'll still work. And this was a cover crop. All that left was just some oats and some grass. It had sunflowers, flax, and a bunch of different types of clovers in it. So the soil still should react the same. So what we're mimicking here, if you leave your cornfields bare, if you do practice something along the line of no-till, leaving the stover on top, and then the cover crops. So this one has no protection from the raindrops. This one has a little bit of physical protection from the raindrops. This one has the physical protection, plus it has the sugar. It has the strengthening those aggregates so the water can go through the soil, hopefully. Then over here I have 2 different types of pasture. This one I get from a neighbor who just leaves his animals on there. In fact, this grass has gotten taller than it normally does. Normally it's only about a ½ inch tall. And from listening to Russ said, that's about how deep the roots are going too. Where this was a good healthy pasture, it's getting kind of tired because we cut off a lot of its roots, unfortunately. But I don't have to tell you how easy it is for the cows to come in here, get a big mouthful, and be done, and they can move to the next pasture. For this one, you can imagine how much the cows have to walk on this just to get a mouthful of grass. And when you come up here later, just tap on this. It's like a rock. So on these pans, they have holes underneath them, so any water that goes through the soil will get captured in the back jars, and then any water that runs off will be captured in the front jars. So, let's see how this works. I got my rain gauge. I usually put on about 1 inch of rain. Obviously very quick. One thing you might be able to see is an explosion of those raindrops. Can you see any dirt being splashed up on there? I'd rather lean into that. So this trailer we got through the New York Grazing Land Coalition. We got a national grant from the NRCS. 5 states got one of these, and it's just been a great tool because I can bring it out into the field. It's solar powered. It has an inverter in there. I can do PowerPoint inside the trailer. It's been a great teaching tool. shows that power of those raindrops and how much, once they start moving those soil particles around and the water's there, it just encourages runoff. And you can see how much topsoil must have gone off and left the field. And then that's how much went into the soil. Because we saw how the soil broke apart once it got wet, if it has low organic matter. That soil gets wet, it just falls apart and fills any hole. It's like covering it with saran wrap, so no water can even get into that soil. So with a little bit of coverage on here, we cut way back on the explosion of the soil. Maybe only slightly less of the runoff, but I guarantee there's a lot less soil in this water. And it had a little bit go through. And having that cover on there slows the water down. It can find a channel as it works its way through that soil. Then the cover crops got way back on the water that left the farm. And this is how much went into the soil. I mean, cover crops really does an excellent job, and it's good for the the waterways, keeping the soil and chemicals out of the waterways. So we did get runoff. Normally you would think pasture is the best thing you can do for your soil, but if you don't do it right, you still get runoff, but at least it's clean runoff. There's not taking any soil particles with it.
What about the manure on the surface?
Yeah, I wouldn't want to drink it if that's what you're asking. And very little went into the soil. And then always our star of our show, no runoff from the farm. Well, there's a little bit of a few drops in there. And all the water went in. So I got a question for you. These pans, they had relatively the same amount of water on top of each one. Whoa, I almost dropped that one. Why does this one have twice as much water in it than this one? Oh, dang you, John. Yes, exactly. The pore spaces. So the pore spaces got filled up in this one. It stored the water in the pore spaces.
Plus the vegetation would hold some itself.
Oh, yeah. They were pretty wet. They've been in the back of my truck for the last 3 days, so they're pretty wet.
Your soils should feel like you're walking on a sponge.
Yeah. Yeah, you can feel the difference. And this is pretty good here. The pasture was pretty hard down there, but
Thanks, Fay.
yeah, good talking with you, Russ.
Yes, I appreciate the information and what you're doing for the farmers and the rest of the people.
Well,
I think this
you're welcome.
I think this is a great tool that you don't see very often.
Yeah, no, I really enjoy it. I learn something every time I give it. It's fun.
Yeah, not only the teacher learns, the student learns too.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.